A video destroyed my marriage lies, destroyed my son's love 4 years later. The truth destroyed their illusion. He stood at my door, seeking the mother he lost. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. On my birthday, instead of waiting for Dominic and our son to return home like I always did, I received a video message from his first love, Marisa. In it, my husband and my little boy were spending the day with her. Grayson had his arms wrapped tightly around her and with the sweetest smile told her he wished she were his real mom. I didn't call. I didn't scream. I simply went upstairs, packed one suitcase, printed the divorce papers I'd had ready for months, and signed my name. It was past midnight when Dominic finally walked in. The house was pitch black, something that never happened because no matter how late he came home, I always left the porch light and the hallway lamp on for him. He handed a sleeping Grayson to the housekeeper and headed straight to our bedroom, expecting me to be asleep. Instead, he found me sitting in the dark living room, suitcase beside me, divorce agreement on the coffee table. He stopped in the doorway and frowned. "Paisley, seriously, what's all this? Another one of your scenes." My voice didn't shake. "I want a divorce." He laughed short, disbelieving. "Because I missed your birthday, come on." "It has nothing to do with the birthday." I slid the papers toward him. "Sign them, let's be done." He flipped through the pages with mocking slowness. "You're walking away with nothing? Where exactly do you plan to go without me, Paisley? You have no one in this city." I just looked at him. "Sign." Something flickered across his face, uncertainty maybe, but it vanished quickly. "Fine, divorce. But Grayson stays with me. That's not up for discussion." Right on cue, our son appeared at the foot of the stairs, eyes red, cheeks wet. "I'm staying with Dad," he shouted. "I don't want to go with you, you're mean." "You're a witch," Dominic snapped. "Grayson, enough." But the boy kept going. "If you hadn't stolen Dad from Marisa, she would be my mom now." I didn't even flinch. "I don't care anymore, Grayson. I don't care about any of it. Just sign the papers." The room went quiet. Dominic stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. "You're sure?" he asked, voice low. I threw the pen onto the table. "City Hall, tomorrow, 9 sharp. Don't be late." I grabbed my copy of the agreement in my suitcase and walked to the door. His hand shot out and closed around my wrist hard. "Let go," I said, ice cold. He smirked. "In such a hurry. Already got someone waiting?" I met his eyes. "Dominic, I have never hated you more than I do right now." His fingers loosened. I pulled free, stepped into the night, and let the door close behind me. For the first time in years, I breathed. At the airport, just before I walked through the gate, my phone rang. I answered without looking. Grayson's small, whiny voice came through. "Mommy, where's my blue dinosaur cup?" "I can't find it." "Ask Marisa," I said calmly. His whining turned into a wail. Then Dominic's irritated voice in the background. "Paisley, stop fighting with a child." I was already walking down the jet bridge. If the child doesn't understand respect, maybe the adult should teach him. I hung up as the plane lifted off, and the city disappeared beneath me. 4 years later, I came back to Horrible for one meeting only. The hospital director, Jonathan, greeted me warmly in his office. We were discussing a possible teaching position when my phone buzzed. I excused myself and stepped out. In the elevator a minute later, the doors slid open and Dominic walked in with Marisa hanging on his arm, wedding rings glinting. They were finally making it official. He'd spent years swearing I was paranoid for ever doubting them. I gave them a polite, frozen smile and stared straight ahead. The elevator reached the ground floor. As the doors opened, Dominic's eyes locked on me. "Excuse me," I said coolly and tried to pass. He caught my wrist. 4 years, Paisley. You vanished without a word. Explain yourself." I yanked free. "I gave up my son, Dominic. You don't get to demand explanations from me." A car horn sounded outside. Jonathan's voice called my name from the entrance. Dominic's grip tightened again. "Who is he?" I didn't answer. I just walked away. Later that afternoon, I went up to the third-floor reception to collect some documents. The area was almost empty, just an old lady dozing in a corner and the steady beep of a monitor from a nearby room. I was at the coffee machine when I felt someone watching me. I turned. Grayson stood there, tall now, almost 15, but still with the same dark eyes. My heart stopped. He froze too. For a long second we just stared, two strangers breathing the same air. Then he spoke, voice deeper than I remembered, edged with something sharp. "You work here?" "Yes," I answered softly. "And you, visiting someone?" He gave a bitter half-laugh. "My mother, obviously." Before I could reply, Marisa's heels announced her arrival. She glided in wearing a navy blazer that screamed perfect Stepford wife and placed a hand on Grayson's shoulder like she owned him. "Well, well," she said, smiling like a cat. Look who's back. Still in horrible after all this time, Paisley. Looks that way, I replied. She leaned closer. Some mothers are replaceable, you know, some are just forgotten. I met her eyes. And some women mistake possession for motherhood. Grayson glanced between us, then looked away. Marisa tugged his sleeve. Come on, sweetheart, your dad's waiting. They started walking. At the corner, Grayson paused just for a second and looked back. Our eyes met. Something flickered across his face. Not hate, not love, just questions. Then he was gone. I turned to leave and nearly walked into Dominic. He was leaning against a pillar, arms folded, watching everything. Enjoying the show? I asked flatly. He pushed off the column and stepped closer. 4 years and you couldn't even say hello to your own son? He said hello to me, I replied. He also made it clear you taught him how to forget me. Well done. His jaw clenched. You're the one who ran. Don't talk to me about running, Dominic. You never gave me anything worth staying for. He studied me for a long moment. And the guy outside, who is he? None of your business. Jonathan appeared then, hands in his lab coat pockets. Everything okay, Paisley? Perfect, I said. Dominic's eyes flicked between us, cold and calculating. Jonathan extended a hand. Dominic Vanderbilt, right? I've heard the name. Jonathan shook it, firm, unsmiling. Dr. Paisley is considering a position here, he said, putting heavy emphasis on the title. Dominic's smile didn't reach his eyes. Of course, she's always been excellent at disappearing when things get hard. I warned him quietly, Dominic. He ignored me, gave Jonathan one last predatory look and walked away. Outside, the afternoon light was turning gold. I watched their black car from the hospital steps. Marisa slid in first. Grayson reached for the door handle, then stopped. He turned. Across the distance, our eyes locked again. This time there was no anger in his face, just something raw and uncertain. He held my gaze for a long moment, then climbed in and closed the door. I stayed on the steps a little longer, letting the wind hit my face. Later, when I went to the staff locker room to grab my coat, I heard the unmistakable sound of expensive shoes behind me. I didn't turn around. Using the back exit now? Dominic's voice, low and too close. I shut the locker, slung my bag over my shoulder, and kept walking. He followed. I just want to talk. Every conversation we ever had ended in accusations or threats, I said without slowing down. Pass. He stepped in front of me, blocking the hallway. He looked exhausted, lines around his eyes I didn't remember, but that same arrogant tilt to his mouth. Dinner, he said. One dinner, that's all. I looked at him like he was speaking another language. We're nothing, Dominic. He gave a faint, humorless smile. Exactly, maybe that's why it finally makes sense. A moment passed. He knew exactly where the weak spot was, and he pressed it without mercy. You owe me at least one honest answer, he said quietly. Why did you vanish that night? Why didn't you ever once come back for Grayson? I shut my eyes. Fine, one dinner, 7:30. But the second you cross a line, I'm gone. The corner of his mouth lifted, not quite triumph, not quite surrender. The restaurant hadn't changed. Same low amber lamps swaying above the tables, same faint piano drifting through the air, same warm smell of rosemary bread and aged wine. Everything was identical, everything except me. Dominic was already there, a glass of red poured for himself and one waiting for me. I slid into the chair opposite him without a smile. He nudged the second glass forward. To your showing up, he said, lifting his own. I didn't lift mine. Talk. He studied me like he was trying to find the old Paisley underneath the new armor. The wedding with Marisa, he said abruptly. It's been put on hold. Postponed, I corrected, or canceled. He gave a small shrug. We're figuring it out. I let out a dry laugh. Funny, I thought you'd already figured out my life and Grayson's for us. He leaned in, elbows on the table, wine untouched. Do you still care at all? About what? Your wedding? Hardly. I'm not here to fight Paisley. Then why are you here, to pretend you didn't burn everything down? His jaw flexed. Marisa came after we were already falling apart. You shut me out for months. I was lonely. I looked for comfort. That's the truth. You always did have a gift for dressing up betrayal. And you always had a gift for leaving before anyone could explain. Neither of us touched the plates that arrived. Steam rose between us like a wall. He spoke softer. He never asks about you when he's awake, but sometimes late at night I hear him say your name in his sleep. Once he screamed it. I closed my eyes. Stop. Don't weaponize that now. I'm not. I'm just telling you what is. He paused. You were his whole world, and you walked away. Because of a video, because of lies, because of a ready-made replacement family. I know, he whispered. The admission hung there heavy. I hated you for years, he continued. But the worst part is I still can't get you out of my head. The music seemed to fade, swallowed by the space between us. Then someone cleared their throat. Jonathan stood beside the table, takeaway bag in hand. Didn't expect to see you two here. I opened my mouth, but he lifted a hand. It's fine, I'm just grabbing food. His gaze slid to Dominic. Thought you were in Paris with your fiancé. Dominic's smile was razor-thin. Plans shift. Some things never do, Jonathan said coolly and walked off. Dominic stared at his plate for a long moment. This dinner doesn't have to mean anything. I know, I said. My voice wasn't as steady as I wanted. You and Jonathan, he asked, swirling the wine. Is it serious? I laughed, sharp and humorless. You're really asking me that? After everything with Marisa? I'm asking, not accusing. You accuse with silence, Dominic, always have. He set his fork down harder than necessary. I noticed the way he's looked at you since the day you landed in this city. Like a vulture waiting for the perfect moment. And you've always been brilliant at turning decent people into threats. Silence again. Then, so quietly, I almost missed it. Does he touch you? My fork slipped from my fingers and clattered. Don't you dare. It was just a question. One you lost the right to ask years ago. He dragged both hands down his face. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said it. Yes, you do. He looked at me, raw, unguarded words trapped behind his teeth, and said nothing. I placed cash on the table for my half, ignoring the way he tried to stop me. I stood. Paisley? No. It was dinner, nothing more. It was something, he said. It was proof I was right to leave. I took 3 steps toward the door, then stopped, turned back. He was still at the table, food cold, wine barely touched, surrounded by ghosts of what we used to be. For the first time in my life, Dominic Vanderbilt looked small. I left. The doorbell rang at 7:47 p.m., sharp, urgent, like a warning. I looked through the peephole and almost didn't recognize the tall figure in the hoodie. Then I saw the eyes. I opened the door. Grayson stepped inside, breathing in the scent of ginger tea and old books like he was tasting a memory. I wasn't sure you'd let me in, he said. I wasn't sure you'd ever knock. He dropped his backpack by the door. Marisa lost it tonight, screamed that I'm ungrateful because I asked why you really left. She said you ran off with some guy, but I heard Dad say something else. What did you hear? That he was the one who sent the video, the birthday one. He told me he wanted to open my eyes because you were unstable. His voice cracked. I don't know what to believe anymore. I was 9. I hated you. And I still, what if everything was a lie? I stayed calm. I saw that video, Grayson, alone on my birthday, no cake, no candles. I watched my little boy hug the woman who took my husband and tell her he wished she was his mom. He stared at the floor. I was a kid. I barely remember saying it. It broke something in me I didn't know how to fix, so I got on a plane. He looked up, eyes glassy. Do you hate me? No, I hated myself for thinking I was enough. Tears spilled over. Then why didn't you come back? Because the last time I saw you, you called me a witch and said you never wanted to see me again. He swallowed hard, the words hitting him like stones. I'm sorry, he whispered. I just wanted a mom who stayed. And I wanted a son who fought for me even a little. Silence stretched, thick and aching. And now, he asked, now you're here, and that's more than I ever thought I'd get. Heavy knocks rattled the door. I'll get it, Grayson said, wiping his face. He opened it. Marisa stood there, flawless lipstick, fake smile already cracking when she spotted me behind him. Grayson, thank God. Your father's frantic. I know, he said, blocking the doorway. She tried to step inside. He didn't move. What are you doing here? She hissed, eyes flicking to me. He came for the truth, I answered. Marisa ignored me, focused on Grayson. Her truth, she abandoned you. I was the one who stayed. I raised you. You trained me, he said, voice shaking but steady. You trained me to hate her. And it worked for a while, but you also taught me exactly what manipulation looks like. So, thanks, I guess. Grayson, leave, Marisa. For once, she had nothing to say. She turned and left. Minutes later, Dominic appeared in the open doorway. Grayson was back on the couch, clutching a mug. I stood in the middle of the room. I came for my son, Dominic said, quieter than I'd ever heard him. He'll leave when he decides, I replied. Grayson didn't move. Dominic looked at me. Did you tell him? Enough. He stepped inside, eyes only on me. I ruined us, Paisley. I know that. You always thought you could control even feelings. I still love you, he said, voice raw. I still remember loving you, I answered, but it's not the same thing. He dropped his gaze, and if, Dominic, what we had is dead, it's not coming back. Sometimes love isn't enough. He nodded once, defeated. Take care of him. Now he gets to choose who takes care of him. Dominic walked out without another word. Night settled gently around the apartment. The silence wasn't heavy anymore, it felt safe. Grayson rinsed his mug in the sink. Can I stay a few days? Of course, he smiled, small, careful, real. We could watch something, I offered. We could do all the things we missed. He picked up the remote. I curled my legs beneath me on the couch. Credits rolled on the screen. Neither of us spoke, but we were there, together, finally. Thank you for being part of our community. Your likes, comments, and shares help us bring more unbelievable Reddit family stories every day. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a shocking story.